Getting mad at yourself when it comes to improving your life, when it comes to becoming the person you want to become, I don't think getting mad at yourself is the way to go. I think we get mad at ourselves because we want to become a better person, and when we fall short of that, when we don't live up to the words or the expectations that we put on ourselves, the first thing we want to do is get mad at ourselves. We get frustrated, we get annoyed, we get bothered, we get confused. And it's just this frustrating feeling that you want to improve so badly, you genuinely do. But then once it comes time to put forth action, you don't, and you get mad at yourself. And I think getting mad at yourself is what's holding you back. I think getting mad at yourself is not a kind of a good, consistent driver. I think getting mad at yourself falls short a lot of the times. I think so because when we get mad at ourselves, we often speak badly about ourselves, right? So subconsciously, this almost lowers our self image, our self worth, how important we are, how much value we feel that we can give. It lowers because when you get mad, annoyed, frustrated, all this, these are all kind of bad, harsh feelings and thoughts that we put into ourselves. So now, once it comes time to put forth action, you don't. Even though you want to, you don't, because subconsciously you have lowered the value of the person you want to become. In your brain, on its priority lists, the person you want to become is low on that list because you only speak negative energy into it. You only put negative thoughts into becoming that person, you know? Consciously, you do say, I want to become a better person. I want to be consistent with this. I want to stop doing this, right? But it doesn't seem to work. And I believe it is because subconsciously, that person you want to become is low on the priority list, right? And I used to do this all the time. I used to get mad at myself. I used to think that could work, getting mad at myself. But I soon, actually no, I didn't soon. It took me years to realize this. But after looking back of those years, I knew my thought process had to change. Let's just take the gym for example. I would work out, right? But my diet wouldn't be right. My sleep wouldn't be right. So the progress that I expected did not live up to my expectations. So I'd get mad at myself. I'll talk bad about myself. I would, I'll kind of almost insult myself silently in my head. And I thought that would work. I thought thinking those thoughts would motivate me when I feel lazy, right? To get up off the bed, to work out, or to eat better, to help me make better decisions. I thought getting mad would help motivate me. But it really didn't. For some reason, something just felt off. And at the time, I couldn't explain it. If you ask me why I couldn't be consistent with my diet, even though I so badly wanted to, I couldn't tell you why. But it was because I was getting mad at myself. So once it came time to eat, to make a food decision, I usually made a decision that went against who I wanted to become. Because our subconscious is kind of, it's our, like our programming almost. It's what we naturally reach for, what we naturally want to do, because we've done it on such a consistent basis. And getting mad at yourself will not change this. It will not change these habits you have. I don't think it'll change them for a forever. I don't. At least in my experience, it just didn't. You know. But once I realized to kind of take the emotions out of it, look at my environment, look at how I'm treating myself, that's when things kind of started getting better. Now, if I'm being honest, I'm still not the most consistent, but I go into it understanding that I'm not perfect. You know, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes patience, most importantly. We're not perfect. You know, you're not going to do things the first time. I mean, shoot, maybe you are. Maybe you are, actually. I don't know. But at least for me, in my experience, the first time usually doesn't go how I want it to, you know? And I think once you look at failure differently, I made a video about that. Once you look at failure differently, that helps with not getting mad at yourself and actually improving. Once you treat yourself with some grace, that makes the process a lot more smoother. It becomes more of a natural healing process instead of like almost like a deadline. Like you have to make this deadline, and if you don't, you're a failure. It's kind of like black and white. Like it's either you're a failure or you succeeded. And in life, it's never black and white. It just isn't. Especially when it comes to us and our self growth, it is never black and white, you know? But when I was getting mad at myself, I looked at it as black and white, you know? And then even then, let's say I had a weight goal at the end of the month and I didn't meet it, I would feel like a failure. And it would demotivate. I don't even know if that's a word. It would demotivate me. Where now my motivation wasn't there. You know, it would kind of make me emotional. And because I was so emotional and treating myself with anger and frustration, I would probably eat worse because I was emotional. I wasn't in control of my emotions. You know, so there's so many things that can root, that can grow out of getting mad at yourself. You know, like it's almost like getting mad at yourself is kind of the seed, and there are so many roots and branches that can grow off of that you'll look back on and you realize that this time and the efforts you put in did not live up to your expectations because it all grew from a root of anger, of hate, of frustration, you know? So just me personally, that didn't work. Getting mad at myself did not work. You know? You gotta treat yourself, like I said, with patience. Understanding you are not perfect. Understanding that failure is not the end of the road. Failure is just a learning lesson. Kind of building the skill to analyze your situation and not put your emotion into it. Look at what environment you put yourself in that led you to choosing the wrong thing, you know? Like for me, one big thing is my night routine. Meditating and then going to bed and not looking at my phone, you know? And that's something that I was really consistent with, but then I fell off, you know? And now I'm in the part of that in that process where it's kind of hard for me to not go to bed without my phone, you know? Where meditation becomes a lot more, there's just a lot more friction. Things didn't flow as smoothly, you know? But now I'm treating myself with that patience. I'm asking myself, okay, what can I do to help me make these decisions easier? How do I get rid of these distractions? How can I go about my day to not end up in in this result that I don't want? I'm not getting mad at myself. I'm not getting frustrated. I'm not talking bad about myself. Because, like I said, subconsciously, that's just going to drop you down the priority list. And you're not going to live up to that conscious expectation you have of yourself. You know? So that's kind of what I'm going through right now that I think can relate maybe to you guys, that can show an example to you guys that relates to this video where I'm not getting mad at myself. It's a journey. Like who says that I'm supposed to be this and that by this age, by this time, you know? It's all just something that our mind plays tricks on us to try to grasp and make this reality logical, because that's what our brain wants to do. So don't get mad at yourself. Treat yourself with some patience, with some grace. Change your environment. And it doesn't have to be direct. I'm not saying move into a different apartment, move states. Just maybe, like, for me, like what I did, like I moved my charger to my desk. So now when I go to bed, my phone has to be on my desk. So, but even then, I move it back sometimes because I get off track and I want to watch YouTube before I go to bed. You know, like, it's not, progress isn't always linear. You know, like, for us, for some reason in our brains, we want to be lazy. There's a part of us that wants to be lazy, that doesn't want to do anything, that doesn't want to improve, that wants to eat junk food and watch YouTube all day. You know, it's normal. Everyone has that. It's just about mending that relationship with yourself, with your true self, with your higher self, so that this lazy voice really doesn't have much power in the conversations you have with yourself. You know? So, that's all I gotta say. Don't get mad at yourself. But if you made it to this video, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that. Thank you for listening.